Hello guys, Harden here. This is the first of my Europa Universalis 4 videos, which I've tried to put a voice on. So we'll see how it works. I did try before, but it didn't work. I am recording at the moment. Let me just kind of minimize all of this and this. And again, this is the first time I've done this. I'm not quite sure how this works. Enable click through. Okay, there we go. So it's recording. Okay, good. All right, so basically you can see the year is 1820. In exactly 1 month the game ends. You can see this is an Ironman game. Let me just move this thing out of the way. Oh, maybe I can't do that. Yeah, basically this is an Ironman game, and it was a career game. So I got inspired by a friend who kind of started a Manchu game, and thing kind of didn't work out for him. So I started off Korea. As Korea, you kind of face a number of challenges in the first few years in terms of your economy and some disasters. So probably the first 30 years didn't really do all that much, and then gradually expanded into this area here, taking out the various sort of Manchu tribes. I then kind of proceeded to kind of go back and forth between Japan, China, and over towards the Mongol steppe area here towards Oirat and so on. Korea has got some very nice national ideas, which I'll kind of show you in a second, which work very, very well. I really enjoyed playing them. In terms of allies, I had a few throughout the game, but probably the most longest lasting was my alliance with Bengal. I didn't realize till quite close to the game that they actually do have some of my claims over here. They took this early on, but I kind of left them to it because, again, I kind of thought they'd stuck with me the whole game, so I kind of thought I would do that. You can see here right at the end, I'm in a war with Deccan. I was helping Bengal against Deccan on several occasions. This is probably about the third war. They were quite a huge Deccan, and this is about the third war against them. I only declared it, or actually it was actually declared by Deccan, to try and claim these two kind of ugly pockets up here, exclaves, that basically Bengal had claimed a war earlier, and for some reason didn't give me these two, gave me all the lands around, but not these two. So I was hoping that we would get the chance for Bengal to peace out Deccan. Deccan, you can see, is losing quite badly. Haven't got very much. I've got my entire fleet here waiting to ambush this Deccan fleet when it comes out. But again, I will play a little bit on before I kind of show you the replay of the game. My army strength here at the moment, you can see I have a million manpower, but I have a maximum of 1.79 million. The reason I'm down to 1 million here is I literally came straight out of war against this very, very powerful Ottomans. After I'd kind of cleaned up this area, I basically waited until the Russians had taken all of this area up here, and then I had a series of wars against Russia. And as you can see, I kind of advanced further and further westward, but at the same time, as soon as I started weakening Russia, the Ottomans kind of started jumping in there. And as I said, I did fight a war against the Ottomans fairly recently, and actually this was a lot of the area that I kind of claimed back from them. So they were a very super strong Ottomans. If I click on them, you can see here, and bear in mind I just wiped out their armies. They have a 2.65, but they were over 1 million men as well, and kind of better military ideas and everything else. So it was a very tough fight. I'll quickly go through the various things. You can see here at the moment I wasn't really optimizing all my diplomats at the end here. I had a huge army in the field, like broken into 44,000 per unit. I don't know how many that is in total, but it was a significant army. You can see here I have a huge number of troops down here. I had a few over here. I just kind of wiped out one of the Bengal armies one of the Deccan armies over here, and I also had an army here because Persia joined the war on the side of Deccan, and you can see here. Had I actually called this already? I don't think so. But oh no, Bengal pieced them out and didn't give me anything. So again, that wasn't too great. So let me just show you the various bits and pieces here. So you can see Ottomans were very, very powerful in this game. Spain was pretty powerful, but just refused to ally with me. They had the whole of Spain, the whole of Italy, a little bit of North Africa. France was quite big, but again, the British managed to hold on to a toehold here in France, in Brittany. The Netherlands was super strong. Again, I did try and ally up with them, but they kind of refused. So you can see they had a large chunk of Scandinavia, Denmark, the lowlands here, again, which they had split with Spain. So Spain was very strong. I did, for the war with the Ottomans, I did ally up with the Commonwealth and with Bohemia. Again, that was a huge war. It probably took about 15 years of game time to kind of get to the point where I could kind of beat those guys, and it was like a very tough war. In terms of my, let's go through here. You can see my king was nothing special at the end, 4-3-3 with a 5-1-3 heir, age 2. Again, obviously I can at this point in the game have +5 national tax, didn't really need it. You can see here my income here is 1,183 ducats per month. That's with all of this gigantic armies raised and without actually doing any particular putting that much emphasis on trade at all. You can see here diplomatic reputation was the second one, and discipline obviously was quite important in the sort of wars at the end. So nothing too special there. In terms of the government, I was up to 89 absolutism, so just one short of the top. And you can see I did converted to Sino-Korean culture, which was about 17% of my population. I had 7 out of 11 product cultures. I actually haven't looked at this for a while. You can see I actually could have done this and added this in here, Uzbek as well, and probably Kazakh. So again, now I'm on 10 out of 11. So again, I had a bit of scope there, but no issues. You'll see when I come to my ideas why I didn't really have, from about the mid-game onwards, didn't have any problems with rebels. Or kind of religion, and I'll show you why. In terms of diplomacy, you can see here, if I jump onto this one, my allies at the end were the Commonwealth, France, Bohemia, Kitara. I have no idea how I ended up allied to Kitara. That is extremely strange. Oh, hang on a second. I was allied to Kilwa, and Kilwa transformed themselves into Kitara. I only did that because they were allied with the Ottomans and they were quite strong, so I allied them and then used favors to break the alliance, and then they obviously transformed into Kitara. I just wonder if I had actually declared war on the Ottomans again. No, they wouldn't come in. No one would come in. So, but yes, I didn't really cultivate that. I should have been spending a bit more time kind of royal marrying and everything else. So again, jumping back to my diplomacy screen, you can see here it was Kitara and then Bengal. And I was tempted at the end to see if I could just get this last little bit of land over here and really tidy up the Chinese borders, but I never got round to it. I did state pretty much everything. Again, if you have a look here, with the exception of some of the coastline around the bottom here, if I go into the governing capacity, I actually had loads spare, so I could have actually stated these. I haven't actually got round to it yet. But everything else pretty much has been stated, apart from this is the land that I took back from the Ottomans. So the Ottomans had kind of expanded a long way into Russian as a result of me bashing them on a regular basis. So that was the diplomacy screen. I don't think there's anything else to share there. In terms of money, you can see my inflation's quite low. I had 1.2k there. I had 300 income from taxation. Now, production is where I was making the gigantic amount of money, because the Koreans have very, very good economic ideas, national ideas, and I actually did a lot of developing. I had a lot of spare points as I went through the game, and I was focusing that development into sort of very high trade good and high value products. And you can see there quite an immense production value. The other thing was, when I did get coal, I did actually dev that up quite heavily as well. You can see gold wasn't a huge amount of income, but towards the end I did pick up a few more gold mines, and so I was generating 103 from there. And trade 476, which, as I said, was really, I only had 4 merchants. I didn't really do anything special with them. I basically had Hangzhou transferring to Beijing, and everything else transferring back to Beijing. I didn't really play around with that. I probably could have made quite a lot more money, but I didn't really need to, because I actually ran out of buildings. Well, I still have a few buildings here. Let's have a quick look and see what's left. Okay, so these are some of the kind of provinces I just took towards the end there. Hang on, let's have a quick look. Yeah, so some of these are kind of worth it. And then again, I was building some of the, at the end, just kind of building the manpower buildings. Yeah, that was everything over 750, and there you go to. And as you can see now, literally everything is built in the country. And you can see there, that is, sorry, that was stock exchanges. So you can see the blue is all the stock exchanges, which is a lot. The universities, again, covered pretty much everywhere, the universities. This is the town hall, which was definitely everywhere. Really helps with governing capacity. The workshops, or Haigun in this game. Again, you can see covered a lot of the Chinese area. Again, and certainly Korea itself was developed very highly. Taxation, not so much. Again, really more inland provinces. And then in terms of the other kind of stuff, you can see I didn't really put too much emphasis on the Navy. So you can see in Korea, obviously because they were high dev provinces, in terms of shipyards, again, similar. And then in terms of training fields, again, Korea completely full, Japan, some of that as well, and then conscription centers again. So I could have built a lot more of those, but again, I think I was running out of slots. In terms of forts, you can see quite a few. These are mainly kind of captured, and as I said, towards the end, I wasn't really running out of any money, so I didn't really build that many. And then manufactories, you can see pretty much everywhere, like, so significant amount of income from manufactories. I didn't really build ramparts, impressment offices in some places, again where I had slots. State houses, again not many, and soldiers' households again in Korea and around there. So again, jumping back to here, okay, trade we've talked about. Again, I didn't really put that much emphasis here. I had 60% trade efficiency, 29% mercantilism. In terms of technologies, obviously maxed everything out. I had 100 innovativeness. And obviously all the institutions were embraced. I didn't get, I don't think any of them spawned. I don't think any of them spawned here. And then I go on to the ideas. So the ideas for Korea, the base ideas are construction cost and morale of armies, plus 10, and then you have infantry combat ability. So that's all quite nice ideas here for the finisher. And then you have advisor costs reduced here. You have innovativeness, which again is very nice if you kind of combine that with the innovative ideas. Land fire damage, which again is very, very helpful towards the end of the game when your artillery and infantry use weapons, those weapons much. Development cost reduction, production efficiency, again contributed to the very high income I had from the production side of things. Morale of Navy ship durability, again this one probably I didn't really lean into that very much. And then idea cost, which is another one for saving lots and lots of points throughout the game, especially as you can see with this amount of territory. If I go onto the geographical map mode and the great projects, you can see I actually had quite a lot of great projects that I was able to kind of maximize. In terms of the actual ideas here, I went for innovative because again that kind of leans into the strength of Korea at the beginning. Aristocratic, I think I did that primarily because there was a development cost reduction. And again, at the beginning of the game, because of various disasters, because of the way the mission tree works, you're actually sort of encouraged not to go to war that quickly. So a lot of it is about hitting certain targets in terms of development. So I think that was partly why I went with that one there. But then it does have some advantages like cavalry, yearly army tradition, diplomats and so on, unjustified demands, and monthly autonomy. And again, I did kind of lean into the kind of monthly autonomy reduction and so on. And then leader siege, which I find siege is always a helpful one. I did go for court ideas, which did mean that these guys were like very, very happy with me most of the time. You can see 100%, 100%, and 78%. And the only kind of, I did kind of revoke some of the other privileges that I gave them earlier, but you can see the main one with the kind of, actually I could have got rid of this. The governing capacity, really, at the end, I didn't need it. I had lots of spare governing capacity. I could have dumped those as well to get a bit more absolutism but I definitely did keep the extra mana points generation. So again, where was I? Okay, back to the ideas. Yeah, so then court ideas again helped me keep the. Again, now I kind of think maybe I should have gone for something different there, but it did kind of help. And there was things here. If you look through, power rejection from infostats very rarely used. Loyalty equilibrium does help. Yearly prestige is always nice. Reform progress growth, that is kind of nice as well, because again in the Korean tree there are a few kind of nice reforms that really help. Max privilege per estate doesn't really make that much difference. Monthly splendor does help in terms of getting some of those kind of bonuses a bit quicker. And then monarch diplomatic skill, which gets me more mana points. And then finally imperial authority growth modifier and mandate growth, which again, kind of thinking back, I did when I started off, I did think about taking the mandate ahead of it, and that's partly why I went with this route, because I thought that would be handy, but then I never really took advantage of it. I then went humanist, which was again ties in very well with the religion, which I'll come on to, which is kind of the confusion is more about integrating religions rather than trying to convert them. So humanist kind of works very well on that side of thing, and you can see that I didn't really have any problems on the kind of culture side. I had lots of free slots and so on, and yearly harmony is nice because it allows you to first of all, it kind of gives you religious unity, but it also means that you can kind of integrate the other religions that much faster, and there's a variety of bonuses for doing that. Then diplomatic ideas, I think it's always useful, particularly for the which one is it? Province war score cost is quite nice, so it means you can take more in the wars, and again the diplomats are always helpful. Quantity ideas, again by this point I was swimming in money, so I thought I would do what I could to actually boost my manpower. I probably could have gone for something else that actually improved the quality of the army, but this actually worked quite nicely as well. Then espionage ideas, I think I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do on the Diplo side. I had lots of spare Diplo points, and espionage, I know people make fun of it, but there are some quite nice from the aggressive expansion impact is nice, albeit I took it so late, it doesn't really make that much difference at the end. Siege ability is very good. I really do like stacking those ones. Advisor costs by the end, on the subject of advisors, you can see here, this is a level 5 advisor that was costing me 7 ducats per month, which when you think my income was about 2,000 is virtually nothing. And more another diplomat, foreign spy, building your spy networks, which again helps. It was something I was doing before I attacked countries to help with sieges as well. Privateer efficiency didn't really help that much. Vassalization acceptance, not really. Monthly favor growth, again, didn't really have that much impact, but it all helps. And then finally, again, because towards the end I was going on a bit more of a spree trying to grab as much land as possible, again, you do get some core creation cost there, reduction, and stability cost doesn't really have that much. The monthly autonomy is always nice, and then the administrative technology, and then governing capacity, which towards the end I really needed, but once I got all the town halls in place, as you can see, my governing capacity, I had nearly 1,200 governing capacity spare, and overextension, this was all the land. Oh, I still hadn't actually caught up this, so okay, so let me see. So all of that, talked about that. Then in terms of the missions, yeah, so there was a few here that I didn't do. This one, I'm not quite sure how it works. It's the Righteous Army, so it's any country at war with Korea that has an army strength of 150% of Korea. I never got into a war with any country that had more than 150% army strength, so I think this depends. I don't know. I don't know how that one works, so it didn't happen. And then the spice trade, again, I didn't concentrate on trade here at all, so this was another one. Again, it's sort of a dead end. It didn't lead on to anything, so I wasn't too worried about it. So this one I didn't get either, but other than that, all of these were completed, all of these were completed, all of these were completed. Settle the North, end Manchuria, tame the dragon, defeat the Shogun, Korean trade ports, so on, all the way completed down to Korean self-reliance. This one was interesting. I didn't actually realize what the requirements were for this until quite late, because I think you needed a manufactory in a certain number of provinces, and I could have completed it much earlier, and it had a very nice bonus with national unrest 2.0 till the end of the game, stability cost modifier -10, and diplomatic reputation. And actually I probably could have done it about 100 years earlier than I actually did. So just flagging that up for any of you who may want to do your own career run, it's worth kind of checking what the requirements for that one. I could have done it earlier. In terms of decisions and policies, nothing too spectacular. So I had 15% advisor costs, diplomatic reputation, another diplomat, improved relations +20, max promote cultures, national manpower modifier, loyalty equilibrium, production efficiency +30% production efficiency. Extremely nice. It's another thing that kind of contributed, especially once I got the coal mine, the gold mines, everything else. 25% religious unity really did help with integrating all the various religions, and then the army tradition is always kind of useful. So that was my policies, but again, to be honest, I didn't really review that as the game went on. I kind of picked the ones that I thought were best at the time and haven't really done anything with that. Here again, you can see my stabilities max. I had plenty of capacity. I had very minimal stability problems and rebels. Again, I don't think I had a rebel army for I don't know, the last 100 years of the game, and then my overextension is quite high now because I'm just waiting for a whole bunch of that territory I took off the Ottomans to core. In terms of religion, I actually got an achievement here through the religion because I basically harmonized, and again this was helped by some of the ideas I chose, harmonized all of these. So I harmonized my Hayana, Vajrayana, Shinto, Theravada, pagan, Muslim, Sunni, Muslim, Dharmic, and Christian, and they all give very nice bonuses. Well, stability cost modifier doesn't really make that much difference, but Dharmic was +1 diplomatic reputation, which is good. Trade efficiency for Muslim. National unrest again did help with minimizing rebel problems. Advisor costs, again, that chimed very well with all the other kind of ideas I was choosing, which meant my advisors were very cheap. Shinto, infantry combat ability, that was very nice, an extra 10%. That goes with the kind of Korean ideas, so 20% infantry. And then production efficiency again, so I was getting another 30% through my ideas, another one here, so I was doing very, very well on the production front. And then idea cost, which was one of the reasons I picked this one early, because obviously the earlier you get your ideas, the cheaper, the more mana points you save. And I couldn't, as far as I'm aware, no, I couldn't harmonize anymore. That was it for that. In terms of the military, you can see I had a kind of like fairly large army up towards the end, and subjects. Sino-Korean, Indonesian, Sino-Korean, I'm not even quite sure. Oh, I think it's just the colonies I had down in Southeast Asia. And then estates I've already showed you. I'll just quickly jump in here. In terms of the military, I had an army force limit of 2,153, and I had built up to 2,068 of that. And this was my template at the end, which was a half stack basically, which was 20 infantry, 4 cavalry, and 20 artillery. I'm not sure if that's perfect. I know that certainly according to the kind of guide, you don't need quite as much infantry as that, but I kind of feel a bit more comfortable when I do have a couple of extra infantry units, and it also rounds up quite nice. So that's why I go with that kind of stack size. And then depending on where I am with supply, I will even split that. So that's a half stack, and sometimes I even split that down further to like a quarter stack and then bring everything together to minimize attrition. In terms of naval units, you can see I'm actually dead on exactly. That's amazing because I hadn't been kind of monitoring that. I'm dead on the naval force limit of 734 with 369 heavies, 223 trade, 84 galleys, and 58 cogs. So again, I didn't really put too much emphasis on there. In terms of making core, you can see that was in progress already. Send missionary, again, didn't really do that at all during the game. Local autonomy, again, didn't really play with that. Change culture. Let's have a look at what the cheapest price would have been. I could have been changing culture. It's quite cheap, but in fact, I was just spending all my Diplo points, spare Diplo points on development. So never really got round to doing this. And again, these unaccepted cultures, because of the humanism, because of the religion and accepting religions, I didn't have any kind of rebel problems at all. So I didn't really need to convert these. I've done the buildings already. In terms of development, let's have a look here. I'll show you my highest development province, which was my capital, Hanseong, which had, well, so let me see, a total of 22, 55. So yeah, 55. 75, 78 development in my capital, and then most of these other ones were also in that area. Again, you can see some of the coal provinces I did develop up quite highly. 14 production there, another one here, 19 production, 16 production, and so on. Huang. So let's have a look. What was I making on Uzkend? Where is Uzkend? Uzkend here. So in terms of Uzkend, I was making 15 ducats just from that province, and I could have actually expanded infrastructure. I don't know if that would make a difference. Let's have a look. Oh yes, it does. So I could have bumped that up a little bit more. In fact, I could do it again. And that was an 82 development cost. So yes, nearly 16 ducats from that province alone. So again, jumping back. So that was the development. I don't know if there's anything else to show you here. Let me see. Yeah, you can see I had a number of gold provinces. Again, I don't think I had maximized all of those at the end. In terms of states, I'll go to the state edict thing. Again, you see I wasn't really using it early on. I do tend to use these a lot. This is all development costs, which was basically around where the coal mines were, and I just never bothered to change it back. I should have changed it to the production efficiency one, because that would have actually given me some additional bonuses. You can see just urbanization there and urbanization there. So that's that on the states. And then diplomacy, I just had 2 on boosting our allies, and then exploit development, I didn't really do any of that. So what I'm going to do now is see. Oh yes, I did boost up as again. Let's have a look. Manpower increase. Let's put a state house in there. There we go. And let's just roll out this last month, and then what I'm going to do is I will run you through the timeline so you can see how the game played out. So let's just finish off this war, which won't take that long. You can see there's a battle going on over here. Oh, is this playing? Okay, I'm going to have to do this manually, it seems like, because the space isn't working. Okay. So now we have... Oh, I'm going to have to turn this off. Oh. Okay, so I wasn't able to stop that, but you can see again here I had a total of 25,125. Oh, I'll show you on here as well. Oh, it doesn't show. I was the great power by the leading great power by quite a long way. The Ottomans were in number 2, even after I took a chunk out of them. And I'm going to quickly go into the timeline here. Let's just. I didn't get a chance to. Let's just clear all these. These were all the areas I took off the Mongols. So let me just click through this. Okay, and let's pop over here. So this is where I started in Korea, and let's play on fast here because I've already kind of talked through this. So this is it. You can see initially I didn't really do all that much. I kind of sat there, sorted out my mission tree, did the development that was needed. And you can see I was lucky in that these guys didn't really all consolidate into one. So then you can see my first few wars here. And then again, just going into the sort of Manchu territories here. At this point, I was still a tributary to Ming. And again, just kind of consolidating this area bit by bit. And again, just reasserting my foothold here, developing up Korea proper. And then you can see starting to expand now into Ming. Ming collapsed at that point. Yeah, Shun. I'd forgotten about Shun. They were a real pain. This is part of the reason why I didn't actually end up taking the Mandate of Heaven, because they ended up expanding this way, and actually some of their provinces were isolated from me. I did kind of vassalize them in one war, and I was planning to integrate them, but I couldn't integrate them. They were kept getting supported. No matter what I did, they just didn't like me. Again, probably because I had a huge amount of their former territory. So basically, they just wouldn't. So in the end, I just unvassalized them and then conquered them. And at that point, I could have taken the Mandate of Heaven, but I didn't bother. So you can see here, Bengal, again, was my ally for much of the game. I was allied with Ayutthaya at the beginning when I was bashing up all these Chinese people, but then eventually I decided it was time to take this kind of land down here. And here you see Russia had kind of expanded the whole way across. I left them alone for a while and let them do their own thing. So that we're up to 1707. So it's kind of the last 100 years where the growth happened. Persia was my ally for quite a while as well. And you can see Shun there was kind of cut off from me and survived quite late in the game. So they were the last. They had the Mandate of Heaven until, so nearly the middle of the 18th century. Shun there, and then eventually conquered them and took a huge bite out of Russia, another bite out of Russia, and then I think it was Persia next, so I took a chunk of Persia, and then another bite out of Russia, and then finally the war against the Ottomans, which was like a long war. They had just taken a bite out of Persia, and so we're coming up now. So there you go, like a big chunk of the Ottomans grabbed, and then obviously at the end I was in that final war against Deccan, mainly to kind of clear up these little patches over here that I wanted to clear up. So anyway, that was the game. I'll just quickly show you around the world. Unfortunately, I forgot to do it. I'm not sure if I click on the religion map mode. No, I should have shown you that before I got into this mode here. Basically, as I said, I was Confucian. I had kind of accepted all the religions. In terms of the rest of the world, actually, let's go back into this show timeline. Let's go extremely fast so you can see what happened elsewhere. So you can see Mamluks got off to quite a good start. Timurids were quite strong. Muscovy was quite strong. Novgorod lasted for a while. France, Burgundy. I don't know who got the Burgundian inheritance. You can see at this point Netherlands, who became a really strong power, didn't really exist. Morocco had a reasonably good start, as did Tunis. Dal was quite strong here. Eventually got beaten up quite a lot by the Ottomans, and you can see myself expanding over there. Ottomans went quite far into Europe. Lithuania was having quite a tough time at this point. Again, they did benefit. They were one of my allies against the Russians. So when I started taking bites out of the Russians, and they obviously did form the Commonwealth with Poland, and then I was assisting, and they were very helpful with Bohemia in pushing the Ottomans back later on. And in terms of the rest of the world, you can see the colonization. It was Portuguese Brazil, kind of historical there, with Spain in the rest of South America. So that's kind of oddly historical. Weirdly, North America also fairly historical. You had French Louisiana here. I don't know how they managed to get in there. I guess from here. So yeah, French Louisiana is kind of fairly historical as well. You had the 13 colonies here, Newfoundland, Canada. Obviously, the 13 colonies didn't go on conquer everything here, but they were in roughly the right area. And then you had New Spain, which is obviously very powerful here, and Pacifico Norte, which was also Spanish. So Spain had a very nice colonial game, and also, again, Portugal in terms of West Africa did very well, and you can see Qatar down here in South Africa did well, and I think it's Spain down here. Spain also had colonies over. They pretty much conquered the Philippines, which again is very historic. You had Portuguese Australia in this timeline. You had the British Malaya, which again is fairly historic, albeit there were a couple of Spanish states here. Again, the British had some parts of Indonesia, Spain also, and then on this side Portugal. So again, the colonists doing very well there. Brunei held on, albeit they weren't in there. Brunei is actually over here is where it starts, so it's kind of migrated over here and actually had a bit of territory here. Again, the British had a large chunk of Indonesia with some French down here. So Yeah, the British did okay. They had a big chunk here, like a little buffer zone between the Ottomans and between the Portuguese here. As you can see, the Netherlands obviously ignored Indonesia and focused on Europe this time and did very well out of it. And you can see Russia kind of survived in the end. I mean, I had kind of pushed in. I think I even took Moscow. Yeah. So I had pushed, Korea had pushed as far as Moscow, and Denmark also survived in the end, but albeit up in sort of Finland sort of territory in northern Norway. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else interesting to highlight here. New Zealand is Portuguese as well. Spain took a lot of the Pacific Islands. The Hawaiian Islands stayed independent. Yeah, and as I said, I obviously didn't take any colonial ideas, so I could have sort of expanded that way if I had, but I didn't bother. So, and again, I had pretty much everything down to here. I'm not sure these volcano islands, is that an actual province? Somebody's got that. Who's got that? Oh, Russia. Oh, interesting. I didn't realize Russia had got into the colonial game. Oh, so a couple down here. I didn't notice that. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's it, guys. I hope you did enjoy this run or my explanation of it. And yeah, I've just got my fingers crossed that my voice, which I've now talked for the last 35 minutes, actually has recorded this time, because last time it didn't. Anyway, thank you very much. Good night. Do like and subscribe if you want more of this kind of EU4 content and kind of after action reports. Thank you.